Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. In this video, what I'm going to do is present my free agent team of 2024. Obviously, there's a bunch of guys whose contracts are ending this summer, so I wanted to go through and put together an imaginary team of players that will be available. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. All right, let's just get the biggest name out of the way first. That's Kylian Mbappe. I didn't include him in my team because, honestly, I think he's just going to stay in Paris this year and take his one-year extension. So there's also a group of players whose contracts are ending that I didn't include in this, mostly because they're just aging stars who are going to go into their last deal. The next place they go is going to be more about lifestyle, finance, family. It's not going to be as much about football. So those names include Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, Thiago Silva, Ivan Perisic will be leaving Spurs, Ivan Rakitic will be leaving Sevilla, Toni Kroos seems to be leaving Borussia Dortmund, Eric Dyer will probably exit Tottenham, and Sergi Roberto's time at Barcelona might end. Oh, please go to Inter Miami. So obviously it'll be interesting to see where all those guys end up, but you're thinking maybe Saudi Arabia, MLS, or maybe a club that's close to their heart that they start at. Like I could see Luka Modric, for instance, going back to Dinamo Zagreb. So now let's get on to the team that I've put together. I've got 15 guys, so 11 starters and 4 subs. Let's start with the bench. The first one is Wilfred Ndidi from Leicester. Now, when Leicester were challenging for the Champions League places a few years ago, Wilfred Ndidi was a central piece and commonly talked about as a player who would get a big move soon. Never happened though. Next one is Spanish international Mario Hermoso from Atletico Madrid. He's 28 years old. He has loads of experience for a very top side, so he's going to have options. The next one is Jorginho. He's got a bit part role at Arsenal right now. That doesn't look like it's going to increase. He's most likely going to leave at the end of the season. Where to? Does he stay in London and go to a smaller club like Fulham or Brentford, or does maybe he go back to Italy? And the last player from the bench is Hannibal from Manchester United. 20 years old, Tunisian international, and you'd think to yourself, well, keep him. He's talented, he's really young. That's kind of what you need, right? Especially when you've got a guy like Jadon Sancho who you're trying to push out the door, and a guy like Anthony who doesn't really perform. All right, let's get into the starting 11, and let's begin with the goalkeeper. Alex Meret. Napoli's 26-year-old Italian goalkeeper. He was the starter for the last few years, especially in their title-winning side last year. And we all know there's quite a few clubs who are looking for a pretty good, stable goalie. Let's move to center backs, and the first one is Victor Lindelof. So he's 29 years old. He is a Swedish international. He's been at Man United for a while. He came from Benfica back in 2017, and it's been okay, but he's never really been the kind of guy that you feel like you can really rely on for a club like Manchester United. The next center back is Joel Matip. In my opinion, Liverpool's most underrated and underappreciated player of the Klopp era. The 32-year-old Cameroon international has been so important and was for a period of time Virgil van Dijk's best partner in the middle of that defense. At right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So in the final few weeks of the 2017-2018 season, Aaron Wan-Bissaka had some outstanding performances against big teams, and it got him noticed. The following season, he played a lot of games for Crystal Palace, did well, and Man United came in and spent a lot of money on him. And though he's been decent, it's never really worked out because he's not good enough of an attacking fullback for a team like Man United. It just hasn't really panned out well for him. But he's only 26 years old, so future's bright for him, somewhere in mid-table Premier League, I imagine. At left back is Thiago Jallo. Now, this is a name most people probably just go, who? So he's a 23-year-old Portuguese player, has not been capped at the full international team yet, has been at Lille for the last couple years, and has done very, very well. So I think he's going to be a pretty hot property going into the summer. All right, let's move into the midfield. Let's start with Atletico Madrid captain Koke. He's only 31 years old, so there's still time for him, and he is resilient. I mean, he's played 70 times for Spain, but over 600 appearances for Atletico Madrid. Cool thing about Koke is he's one of those very few one-club men. He's been at Atleti his entire career, but he really could help out any number of midfields that are half broken all over Europe. The next midfielder, another Spaniard, is Thiago Alcantara. From the day he signed for Liverpool, there were all these questions about, is this guy the right fit for this team? You think about the heavy metal football, lots of running, and then you look at a guy like Thiago, who's not super mobile, not the way Liverpool really played, and so it didn't seem to really work. He only scored 3 goals. One of them was unreal. It's this volley here that just reeks of quality. I mean, this was so good. But the next two midfielders, the first is Piotr Zielinski of Napoli. Polish international has been pretty good throughout his career, but he had a fantastic season last year as Napoli took away the Scudetto, and this literally is his opportunity for a huge payday at 29. The next one is Adrien Rabiot. He's been at Juve since 2019, and it's important to remember his agent is his mother, Veronique, who is known to be a very good negotiator. So look, he's 28 years old. This is a fantastic time for him to get a mega deal, and I would imagine there's a lot of clubs that want him. I mean, he did start for France in the World Cup final. All right, let's move on to the forwards and wrap it up. The first one is Gabigol, the Brazilian who plays at Flamengo. Most people don't really know much about him because he only went to Europe for a very short stint. He went to Inter Milan and then Benfica. Neither worked out, went back to Brazil, and has been banging in the goals ever since. At 27, this is the moment for him to go back to Europe and try and play at the absolute highest level. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off. And the last player is Anthony Martial. 9 years at Man United. It all looked so amazing on his debut as well. He gets brought off the bench by Louis van Gaal. No one's heard of him. He cost a lot of money to bring in from Monaco. And he goes and scores a Thierry Henry-style wonder goal. I mean, everyone thought he was going to be a star, and then he just never really kicked on. He's just been the same player the entire time. He only really had one good season at United where he scored 17 goals. Other than that, the return for a forward has been bad. But you want to talk about a bad return? It's 2 goals in 30 appearances for France. I'm sorry, that is a shocking record. For context, Benjamin Pavard has 5. Yes, he's played 20 more times than Martial, but he's a center back. So that's it. Really curious to see what happens with all of the players, including the all-star old group that I talked about at the beginning. It'll be interesting to find out how it goes. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football.